This Saturday, Melbourne residents are heading back to the polls for another election, but this is one with a difference. It won't be fought between Tony Abbott and Julia Gillard. The winners won't be heading here to Canberra or even here to Spring Street. They will be headed here, to their local councils. All over Melbourne, town halls such as this are going to be turned into battlegrounds between the old returning candidates and new, younger alternatives. I managed to sit down with one of the young candidates in this election, Marcus Bastian.
I'm 22 years old and I've been involved in politics since I was 19. Local politics is a reasonably new thing. I've been a member of the Liberal Party for 3 years and I helped with Louise Asher's campaign in the 2010 election, which saw the Liberals come to state parliament.
After 3 years in the Liberal Party and now running his own campaign, I asked Marcus how he found the experience.
Good, I enjoy it. I really do like it. I have no issue with people looking at me or standing out in public with a placard and a badge and some flyers and touting the message, because I know what I'm doing is the right thing, and I feel as though if I am elected, I'll be able to look after the interests of Bayside better than anybody who is currently there in the North Ward.
What made you decide to run for City Council?
I decided to run because I care about what's happening to Australia. I love this country, and in my opinion, this is the greatest country in the world. So if in the future I have the ability or my opinions are shared by the majority, then I would like to be able to represent them.
Given your past experience as president of the Brighton branch, have you noticed an increasing trend for young people to become interested in politics?
Not at all, it's the opposite. I think what happens in a society where you are so lucky and we're so wealthy, I think people become apathetic regarding politics. And this is not their fault and it's not the system's fault. It's just the nature of people. And I feel that, personally, I feel politics is very important regardless of how wealthy or poor you are, and it's very important to have involvement or at least knowledge of your community and country's direction.
This idea of youth apathy is a very tricky one to answer, so I went to speak to someone who could give some more information. Liberal Victorian President Tony Snell.
I don't think that's correct from what I've seen. Certainly the many people your age group who are in the party are very active and very keen to get involved and to have their say and make a contribution.
Would you say that the idea of political apathy is one exclusive to Gen Y?
I don't think it's a problem our generation necessarily is the only generation that has apathy. I think it's just a trait of the human condition. If people don't need something, they're going to be less likely to be engaged in it. So if you were to compare things perhaps in Eastern Europe or in countries in the Arab Spring, which we've seen a huge amount of involvement by young people on various sides of the political spectrum. And you look at this in this radical edge of politics, and it's far more dynamic, you could say, than what is essentially a Western, very wealthy democratic country such as Australia.
One problem that all young candidates have to face is their use of social media. The constant want to tweet and Facebook post all that we think of might prove to be a liability in the future.
I do have a concern, I must admit, that with the current generation, a lot of this stuff that they might say or that, post, put up on Facebook or whatever will last a lifetime, and that's, I think, going to make it interesting. It's something that all political parties are going to have to cope with. Political parties tend to be very risk averse, and therefore, if there's something in someone's history, like some comment that they've made, which is seen to be extreme, then that normally impacts on the way a party approaches their future. And I think we're going to have to actually grapple with those issues because, like I say, there's a lot more out there than there ever was in my day.
We've all heard the old adage of politics being a dirty game. Is that something you would agree with?
Federally and in state levels, you're right, it's a dirty game, but it's only dirty because of the great significance that this country has and the politicians who are in those positions have due to it. And you're right, it's a cutthroat game, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, it shouldn't be considered a game and it shouldn't be dirty. But as I said, the nature of the individuals who are involved make it very difficult.
For those hoping to run in the future, both Marcus and Tony offer some final parting words.
Get involved in a political party. I think people, whichever political party they're interested in, I think too many people these days tend to regard politics as something dirty, something that they probably are not interested in being involved in. I think that the only way to make change is actually through a political party, and I would encourage everyone to get involved and have their say.
Go for it and be authentic. Have confidence that your views and your beliefs are representative, and don't let anybody ever tell you you can't do it.